Meanwhile, Liwei waited in the pool for Amara. After a few moments, she appeared, and his eyes immediately drifted toward her. He watched her walk, captivated by how stunning and breathtaking she looked, how perfectly her swimsuit hugged her figure. His gaze never wavered, and his breath caught in his throat. She moved gracefully into the pool and began swimming slowly toward him. As she drew nearer, he reached out, pulling her close and wrapping his arms around her. He looked into her eyes, leaning in to whisper that she looked incredibly sexy. Amara blushed, looking away before glancing back at him. Deciding to tease him, she prompted him to tell her he loved her again, admitting she loved the sound of it. Leaning closer, she added that he looked like a cute puppy when he said it, and insisted that he say it again. Liwei looked away, trying to hide the faint flush of shyness creeping over him. Amara giggled, teasing him, noting that it was the first time she had seen him shy. She continued to tease him, urging him to look at her and say it. He avoided her gaze, but her laughter and gentle persistence made him slowly look back. Seeing her so happy and radiant struck him deeply. The sight of her laughter and joy felt like the most precious thing in the world. He pulled her closer, tilting her face upward until their eyes locked. His expression softened, and in a low, earnest voice, he told her he loved her. Seeing how much she adored hearing it, he promised that if she loved the sound of it, he would say it to her every day. Amara's heart raced as she looked at him, caught between wonder and delight. Suddenly, Liwei's cell phone rang. He quickly grabbed it and saw it was Ming calling. Answering immediately, he asked if everything was okay. Ming informed him that he had received the blood test results for May and James's daughter. Liwei sat up straight, demanding to know the results. Ming said it was best if Liwei came to his office so they could discuss the details in person. Liwei explained that he was out of the city and that he could come the following day. Ming agreed. Before hanging up, he added that Master Shen had also instructed him to run a blood test on May's daughter's sample, and the results were in. He asked if he should inform Master Shen. Liwei immediately instructed him not to. Curious, Liwei asked whose blood it was. Ming admitted he didn't know, but noted something unusual. Liwei listened intently as Ming explained that the blood sample Master Shen had given him matched the DNA of May's daughter, suggesting a close relation. Liwei's mind froze, a storm of thoughts crossing it. He told Ming they would discuss further the following day, then ended the call. Amara looked at him, concern written across her face, asking if everything was okay. Liwei reassured her, explaining that the blood tests for May's daughter were complete and that he was to meet Ming the next day. Amara smiled, saying it was good news, and that if Ming discovered something sinister, they could finally take down May and James. Liwei pulled her closer, looking deeply into her eyes, and told her that regarding that matter, they wouldn't have to get involved directly. Someone else would handle it, and he would introduce them so they could plan further. Amara, confused, asked who he meant. Liwei, still holding her gaze, gently touched her face and said that they were there to spend time together. He promised he would explain everything tomorrow and that they could go to see Ming together. Amara nodded with a smile. Liwei snapped his fingers, and a waiter appeared with a platter of food and placed it in the pool. He told Amara they could enjoy their dinner and watch the moon together, noting how beautiful the night was. The following day, as soon as they arrived in the city, Liwei and Amara pulled up at Ming's clinic. They made their way inside and went straight to Ming's office, where he was already waiting, the test results spread across his desk. Ming sat at his desk, observing Amara and Liwei as they took their seats before him. He handed the documents across the desk to them, and both leaned in to examine them closely. Liwei's brow furrowed as he scanned the pages, confusion written across his face at the dense medical terminology. He looked up at Ming, asking what all of it meant. Amara, reading alongside him, explained that the medical terms indicated that the girl's heart hadn't stopped naturally. There were substances, chemicals in her bloodstream that should not have been there, chemicals capable of slowing the heart until it ultimately failed. Ming nodded in agreement, confirming that Amara was correct. He added that the results suggested she might have ingested the substance, or that someone might have deliberately introduced it into her system. The chemical had penetrated her heart, he explained, and that was why it was slowly shutting down. The damage had worsened because it had not been addressed in time. Liwei sat stunned, absorbing the gravity of the information. He leaned forward, his voice tense, asking if it was even possible for her to be saved without a heart transplant. Ming paused, choosing his words carefully. He explained that the chemical had spread through her bloodstream and fused with her blood, feeding her heart as it spread. Draining it would be extremely difficult because of this fusion, and attempting it could risk her heart stopping entirely. Amara's eyes filled with worry as she asked Ming about the menthol method, if it could work. Liwei looked at her, confused. He gently held her hand, calling her babe, and urged her to simplify her explanation, reminding her that he wasn't a medical professional like them. Ming and Amara both chuckled lightly at his reaction. Ming then clarified that Amara meant introducing menthol into her bloodstream to help flush out the chemical. He explained the risks. Since the substance was already fused with her blood, its removal could be violent, and he feared her heart and kidneys might not survive the process. Amara looked at Ming, determination in her eyes. She insisted that they had to at least try. Saving her was the only way to prevent May and James from continuing to hunt her down, and if she survived, she might be the one to reveal what had happened and why she had ended up in that state. Ming remained silent for a long moment, considering her words. Finally, he acknowledged that they could try, though the risk of death was high. He asked how they could possibly gain access to her, noting that May had likely doubled security after the last kidnapping. Liwei reassured him, telling him not to worry and that he would handle the access. He then asked Ming again if he was willing to attempt the procedure. Ming hesitated. Amara, sensing his doubt, encouraged him, reminding him of the oath he had taken as a doctor. She admitted that she was not a professional doctor herself, but she understood that saving a life must always come first, regardless of the risks. She added that the girl did not deserve to be in that state. She deserved to live, to enjoy her youth like any other young person. Ming fell silent again, deep in thought. Finally, he looked at both Amara and Liwei and stated that he would do his best. If he gained access to her, he would attempt to save her using the menthol method as Amara had suggested. Amara's face lit up in relief, and she thanked him, promising she would never forget his help. Before Liwei could react, the office door swung open and Yan's mother stepped inside. Every gaze in the room shifted instantly toward her, the air thickening with sudden tension, charged with unspoken questions and the weight of expectation. Ming rose from his chair, his steps deliberate, purposeful. He moved toward Yan's mother, his voice steady but firm, explaining that he hadn't known she was coming. She could have informed him in advance, he said, so he could have made time for her, but he was occupied. Yan's mother didn't flinch. Her eyes were fixed on Liwei, hatred burning through them like fire. Liwei didn't even glance in her direction, his face a mask of controlled indifference, unreadable and cold. She turned back to Ming, her movements sharp, her tone clipped. She wouldn't take long. She had reported Yan as missing. At the sound of Yan's name, Amara froze. Her body stiffened. Her hands trembled, tiny quakes of fear and worry running through her fingers. Liwei's gaze snapped to her immediately. Without a word, he took her hand in his, strong and grounding. His eyes met hers, communicating with her to calm down. Slowly, her tremors began to ease. With his hand holding hers, she felt the weight in her chest lighten for just a fraction of a second. Ming's gaze shifted to Yan's mother. He asked carefully why she would do such a thing. Yan always ran away when upset, but she always returned. He was confident she would come back this time as well. But Yan's mother stepped closer. Her face etched with worry and told him that this time felt different. When Yan disappeared before, she had never gone silent like this. She had never ignored messages. She had never retreated entirely from social media. Moving closer, her voice trembling slightly, she asked Ming if he was certain he hadn't seen Yan at all, if she had left no messages, no sign, reminding him that he was the one closest to her. Ming shook his head. He hadn't spoken to her. Their contact had faded before she left. They hadn't truly talked. Yan's mother's eyes glistened with the beginnings of tears. Ming glanced at Liwei and Amara. Amara's body language was rigid, tense, taut with unease. Liwei's hand gripped hers protectively, steady, unyielding. In that instant, Ming felt it, the unmistakable sign that something was wrong. He turned back to Yan's mother. He promised that if he discovered anything, he would alert her immediately. He would try to reach out to Yan himself. Taking her hand, he told her to go home and relax, assuring her quietly that Yan was okay. Yan's mother nodded as she began to leave, but her eyes landed on Liwei. Fury radiated from her in sharp, visible waves. She spat words at him, venom lacing each syllable. He would pay for this. If anything happened to her daughter, she would know he caused it, that he drove her into despair. She cursed him openly, labeling him a ruthless monster. Liwei let out a quiet, almost imperceptible laugh. He said nothing. Yan's mother stormed out, slamming the door behind her, leaving the room thick with tension and unspoken threats. Liwei and Amara rose simultaneously. Liwei turned to Ming, thanking him for his help. They needed to go. Ming nodded, reassuring them that if they needed anything at all, he would be there. Amara smiled softly, telling Ming he was a good person. As they moved toward the exit, Ming called Liwei's name. Liwei froze mid-step, then turned. Ming asked to speak with him. Liwei glanced at Amara, silently telling her to wait in the car. She nodded and stepped out. On her way out, Amara collided lightly with Momo, who was entering the hospital holding a lunchbox. Both women's faces lit up, delight breaking across them. Momo admitted she hadn't expected to see her there. Amara explained that she and Liwei had come to discuss something with Ming. Her eyes fell on the lunchbox. She teased Momo, pointing out that she was already performing wifey duties by bringing food. Momo laughed, admitting she was preparing herself to be a rich housewife. Their laughter rang lightly, a sharp contrast to the tension lingering inside. Amara urged her not to delay. "Deliver the food to her Prince Charming," she said. Blushing, Momo rushed inside, eager to see Ming. Amara stood there watching, her chest warming slightly. She felt a fleeting happiness seeing Momo's joy, seeing her almost fulfill her wish of becoming a rich housewife. She silently hoped Ming wouldn't break her heart. Meanwhile, Ming and Liwei remained in the office. The air between them thickened, heavy with unspoken words. Ming's gaze locked onto Liwei, searching, measuring. Liwei returned it, feeling the weight pressing down, the intensity of the moment. He asked if something was wrong. Liwei stepped closer. He reassured Ming, telling him not to worry, calling him the best doctor. He was certain he would save May and James's daughter. Liwei patted his shoulder briefly, a gesture meant to instill courage, but his eyes never wavered, holding Liwei in silent scrutiny. Finally, breaking the silence, Ming's voice cut through the tension, laced with hurt and accusation. He asked Liwei what he had done to Yan. Liwei froze. The words landed like a physical blow. Ming's gaze remained fixed, unwavering. The room seemed to hold its breath, each second stretching long, taut, heavy with expectation. every nerve on edge as the question hung in the air.